where we highlight veteran voices here in Mesa, Arizona. You are here with us live in the Defender's Den, our wellness lounge and venue connected to Azura Veterans Coalition, a resource center. We are a place for veterans to find all of the resources that they need provided to them freely at no cost. Come on in, grab a cup of coffee, and let's talk. Today, I would like to welcome USMC veteran JMach from the JMach Podcast. Hails from the east side. What city are you from? West side.
Surprise.
Surprise. Okay. Yeah.
Surprise.
Where are we? Surprise. I don't know what I'm talking about. Hey, welcome to the show, brother. I've seen your podcast. You have a lot of notoriety out there. You're connecting veterans with resources. You're talking about the real issues, traumas, overcoming, holistic modalities, wellness endeavors, similar to what I'm trying to achieve here. And I wanted to reach out to you. I've seen you do this whole month-long men's mental health awareness thing, and it's captivating. And I wanted to dive deeper into that. How did you get there? Why did you start doing that? What's your journey like? And like you say, let's start with your childhood. Welcome to the spotlight.
All right.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me, sis. I really appreciate it. It's a great opportunity, and I'm honored to be here. You just asked me like 12 things, and my brain went everywhere. So where do you want me to start? My childhood?
Yeah, let's start there.
All right, so I grew up in a small town called Beach, Illinois, about 45 minutes south of Chicago, right on the Indiana border. Whatever you think of Chicago, throw it out your brain. I grew up with a one-stoplight town, graduated with like 80-something kids, and had country land all around me, and I love that life. That is the life I'm chasing to get back to. It was so quiet and peaceful. The traffic going down the road was a traffic jam because of a tractor and not because everybody's trying to get somewhere, right? My dad was a Will County sheriff, and he worked his ass off for us always to provide for my brother, sister, and I, and my mom. And my mom was a stay-at-home mom who took over a security company and ran that for years as well. At some points in my life, I was trained and developed to become a Marine. I will give my dad the credit because he always wanted to join the military, never did, but he always watched John Wayne and war movies, and I loved that. However, from what I know and what I've been learning about mental health is that there was traumas along the way that guided me, pre-developed me into joining the Marine Corps or even going into the military, because there's a select breed of us that do that. And hopefully maybe we can dive into that a little bit later on the podcast on your show. I'm an open book, so feel free to ask me anything.
Yeah, well, similar story. I was kind of bred into joining the service myself. My dad had me in recruiter's offices since I was 15, so I was kind of set up for that. My mom, she's a big fan of the dude, John Wayne. I grew up watching Westerns with her and all the shootouts of riflemen and what have you. So yeah, I think we are bred into this culture, this honor, this duty, this, my grandmother was dying, and it was her dying wish that I joined, and my dad had already primed me for it. So when 9/11 happened, I was in Alaska right after high school graduation, and it just all lined up, and I just felt the call, and I signed up. I said, it's my duty, something ingrained in me, something that was built in me. Even if somebody hadn't placed that in front of me, I still feel like I would have done this. Me and my little brother used to clean the kitchen. We'd have like those, those foxtail moments. We'd go around and deep clean everything. I don't know if it's my ADHD or what, but I was always at attention to detail, always trying to, there was something bigger that I thought I was missing. I needed to be a part of something. And there's a lot of childhood issues there that we could talk into that are still coming up. For like, why am I this way? Why do I have all these idiosyncrasies? Where do they come from? And then we talk a lot on the show about the existential questions. Why am I here? Why am I this person? What am I chasing? And ultimately, we end up doing a lot of trade work outside of the military because we're still searching for our why. I know that I am, and I see it in other people who are on the same path as me through the wellness modalities. It's like, is this going to get me there? Is this going to get me there? You're chasing that instead of numbing it and suppressing it, letting it all out, and discovering who we are by being vocal about it, by sharing our monthly truth, because my truth changes.
Absolutely, and that's okay that it changes. You don't have to be the same person you were yesterday, all right? You just continue to grow. I like to start my podcast out talking about our childhood, right? Because that's where it all begins. And as adults now, And even after the military, whether you had trauma from combat or not, right? The way we react and handle things is all based off of what we learned or did not learn as a child. That's my opinion of it, right? So that's why I like to hit on our childhood, because it also brings us, look how relatable we are again, right? Like, we just shared our stories about our dad real quick. And was it your dad or your grandma that made you watch John Wayne?
My mom.
Oh, your mom, sorry. So that connects us again, right? That's why I also like talking about our childhood, because it stops us judging the book and starts reading the insides of it, right? Stops judging the cover and you get to read the inside of the book, because we are the way we are from what we learned or didn't learn. And if you don't handle the traumas that you experienced before the military, in the military, you're going to feel them after the military. And it's all going to relate you back to healing your inner child.
It is. It comes from the family of origins is the term used in treatment centers. And I like how you say that. What you haven't dealt with in childhood, when you come out of the military, it compounds. And that's when we get the term complex PTSD. Long time standing of dealing with post-traumatic stress from suppression. And it comes out sideways, especially when you have a real threat in your body. Like, I don't know why I'm this way. It feels like something's wrong. And everyone's around me was just like, why are you so explosive? Why are you so edgy? I feel like I have to walk on eggshells around you. And it's scary for the individual. I know that I was scared. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to react. And, just round and round she goes. How she reacts, nobody knows, is a Pink line, the singer. And I was like, yes, we find our similarities in the arts, I think. So I think we're trying to find our voice through other people's expression. And so that's why I built the stage here. I'm like, come express yourself, how you know yourself today. And like William Shakespeare says, all the world's a stage, and let thine own self be true. So however you show up today, however you can speak to who you are today, is the best thing you can do for yourself. You're like, I'm just expressing how I feel right now. It might not be factual, but this is what's coming up for me. Can you help me break that down? Can you help me traverse this? Can you give me some kind of modality that doesn't just turn it off, but allows it to be free and get it out of me? So then I have a choice. Because sometimes when you're stuck in that place, you feel like you have no choice. You're stuck with this anger, this rage. Can you feel me on that?
Yeah, and it feels like everyone's looking at you like you're the problem. A great quote was told to me by Sean from the ASU Vet Center, and he said, it's not what's wrong with you, it's what happened to you. So stop asking the person what's wrong with them. Why are you so explosive? What's wrong with you? It's what happened to you that made you so explosive. And it also lowers your defense mechanism, right? Because if I instantly go ask you what's wrong with you, you're triggered and you're ready to fight. Like, fuck you. Nothing's wrong with me. You're the problem. Or you may truly be feeling that because of their actions, right? Here's my ADHD and I just lost my train of thought.
Well, when things come up for us, when we get triggered out in the world, we are going to be defensive. Because, there's a 6 feet. I had the big, FU across my forehead, that unapproachable version of me, because there was a piece of me that felt very vulnerable, very unsafe. And I couldn't let anybody into that because I had this big open seeping wound. And if you touched it, I didn't want you to see me cry. I didn't know what that was.
Your ego and pride in the way. And honestly, you told me earlier that you grew up with 6 brothers.
Yes.
So there you go, now knowing how to be vulnerable, because your brothers weren't allowed to be vulnerable or emotional, right? So I'm sure you weren't able to either. And then when you were, you got picked on for it. And it made you feel less than or belittled or hurt.
Those are the key words, feeling less than. Or you can do the other side and feel like I'm more confident, and you try to overshadow how you really feel. And to be brave and vulnerable and open and say, this is what's coming up for me. This is how I feel today. When you do this, I feel, and I would prefer if you would approach me this way. Those are strong words, and that's a lot.
Setting your boundaries.
I was just going to say, those are talking boundaries that you must learn. You have to teach other people how to treat you. And that takes awareness, that takes knowledge, that takes education, it takes self-awareness. Is really hard to cultivate when you don't have any of it in front of you or anybody offering it to you. It is an ultimate self-discovery quest, like we were speaking to earlier. Like Like, you have to go on your own quest to figure out, I have to take responsibility for this. Okay, sure. What do I have to do next? Because I know this, and this aren't working for me. So let's put that hammer down. Let's stop being insane, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting something to be different, and be brave enough to try something new and, you know, lean into the uncertainty of it. Have faith in yourself that no matter what, you're going to be okay on the other side, that you have the strength and the resolve, and whatever scary thing is lingering inside of your nervous system, it's naturally going to come up and process out. It's going to be less scary than how we're being reactionary right now, because we don't identify with what's happening and we're allowing it to dictate our lives. So let's get the control back, take our power back, and not let other people dictate how we respond to things.
A lot of setting boundaries for other people to treat us correctly is treating ourselves correctly, right?
Yes.
And the way that we talk or express ourselves in front of other people. Because if they see that it's okay that we talk to ourselves this way, they're going to feel that way. It's also really hard, but worth it and possible to set boundaries with people that are already in your life, because they're going to feel like they've been able to talk to you this way before, treat you XYZ before. Now all of a sudden you don't want to do it. So now you're not the same person. You're right. I'm not the same person. You're not the same person. Let's continue to grow, but grow together. Especially in my marriage, I have a hard time with, instead of being blaming, let's find the solution. Instead of pointing out the problem, well, what's the solution? We can argue back and forth if we want to keep talking about the problem. Let's start finding the solution. And I feel like we could take that into all of our lives, whether it's a marriage, a friendship, a coworker, anything like that.
Yeah, we need to be a solution-based society instead of keeping each other down, or just sharing the dogmatic stories. Like, okay, that's great. We need to share what's happened to us. But if there's too much friction in that. If the other person hasn't done their work, and so you're just trauma bonding at that point.
Yeah. And that's why we gotta be important. It's important to us to find out who our true circle is. The people that we've been hanging around with, if they're not doing better than us or where we want to be in life, then we're not gonna grow, because what are we? We're the model of like our 5 closest friends. If you show the person your 5 closest friends, I could tell you where you're gonna be at, right? Mm-hmm. So we have to find people that pull us up. And it really does suck having to cut some people off, right? But if they're not serving you, you're only hurting yourself just keeping them around.
And we have to allow them the freedom to do their work. So if I'm on this trajectory of healing and you're not in a place to do that yet, then you have to be able to let them go and pray for them, or however you want to see, just hope that they can receive that in whatever fashion that looks for them, but planting the seeds along the way. Walking away is really hard, especially for me as a codependent, and I try to fix people all the time because I've gone through so much and overcome a lot. And I was like, have you heard about this? Have you read this book? Have you heard this show? And that's me on overdrive, but I'm constantly in that solution base, but being super resilient. I'm like, if I fall, I want to get up faster this time because I know better. Once you know better, do better, right? So I might be a little too hard on myself, but I know that I'm capable of more. I'm finding more strength in my solitude, the times that I am stuck in my solitude. Okay, I'm here. I can make this really destructive, or I can make this my comeback. Last week when I was talking with Veronica Morgan, I was like, is this a breakdown or a breakthrough? So how am I choosing to see this? How am I choosing to show up for myself? So we have it inside of us. We have that internal knowing, that internal guide, and we have the 2 wolves. Which one gets fed, right? Which one are you going to feed today? And I always like to say, how do I want to feel after this decision? So am I going to devolve or am I going to evolve? And the choice is ours every single day.
Everything about life, it's up to us to choose how we're going to react to it or feel about it, right? If we get mad, we're choosing to be mad because we're allowing ourselves. Yeah, they may have said something, but we allowed ourselves to sit in it and stew in it and be mad about it, right? It's hard to leave people, absolutely, because I just want to fix everybody. I feel like I could fix everyone, right? But like you said, people aren't ready for that yet. And you can lead the horse to the water, but you can't force them to drink it. And a lot of times the people that aren't drinking the water, so to say, right, they don't feel like anything's wrong with them. And so you've already outgrown that relationship. You've already outgrown that. And it's time to spread your wings and let yourself fly instead of trying to pull someone else up. When you fully heal, when we actually, I don't even know if we'll ever fully heal, right? Because it's always going to be something we need to work on, right? But the more we grow and develop, the more people we're actually going to be able to help. So if we cut out the immediate helping everybody and only focus on the core group that wants to help, or ourselves, helping ourselves, when we grow and hit our next level, we're going to be able to reach so many more people than we would have to begin with. So you can either sacrifice your happiness and your well-being for the ones and twos, or you can outgrow the person you are today and be able to save thousands at a time.
I love that. Outgrowing yourself today. I would like to say that every day. I've outgrown who I was yesterday. And I believe that's the trajectory that I've been on. I would like to show up different every day, stronger, more informed, and having interactions like this. Like, I know that I'm going to take this conversation home and let it resonate, find the similarities instead of the differences. Because I think that's what keeps a lot of people stuck, is they're like, I'm different, I'm less than, I can't do that, and whatever the negative beliefs that are coming up for them. And I challenge people, I challenge myself to challenge those beliefs, and that our beliefs can change, our morals, our values, everything can change. We're in charge of our own ship. We're in charge of our, I don't want to say destiny, because I mean that comes from wherever you choose to believe, but we have that free will to take our power back at any moment in time and to not let anything keep us stuck in that place. That stuck place, you know, a lot of the other podcasters, the greats like, you know, Jocko and those guys, right? They're like that. You just have to move in a direction. And if it doesn't work, then move in another direction. But just get started somewhere. Because that analysis paralysis, man, I was there for a really long time. And feeling stuck is because I couldn't make a decision. Because I wanted to play it all the way out. I wanted to have the perfect life. I wanted to see the whole thing and you can't do that. Because tomorrow's not promised, ever.
Absolutely.
Today, it's just how we can inflict, you know, positivity on each other, some kind of hope.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better. One of my favorite quotes right now is just make it exist and then make it better, right? For this podcast, my podcast, for the longest time, you also said something earlier, feeling less than, right? And I was going to try to avoid this because I feel like people will stop listening to me when they find out that I have no combat that I have no combat experience, right? But those aren't my people. My people are the ones that are just like me, or the ones that have combat experience but can relate to me still and hear my stories and learn and grow from me. So for the longest time, I never went to veteran events for the podcast, even though I was promoting this veteran mental health podcast. I would only go to cannabis events. That's what got me out of my shell, because I felt they were either going to be too high to care or they're trying to run away from something. And so they'll be able to listen to me and understand what I'm saying and like understand, right? Once I was able to get out of my own way and stop feeling less than because I haven't seen combat and start viewing that as a blessing that I didn't have to see that trauma and all that chaos, that I've been able to grow exponentially and put myself out there more and more, right?
How did that come to you?
How did what come to me?
How did you get out of the space of I'm not a combat veteran to where now I'm blessed to not have been a combat veteran?
I literally came up with it on the spot right now. However, I have changed my mindset that my calling to join the Marine Corps wasn't to fight the war overseas, but to fight the war we fight once we get back home. And that's exactly what I'm doing with this podcast. So I could have saved one or two of my fellow brothers and sisters while I was over there, but I could save thousands now. I'm not afraid to talk about my mental health. It feels embarrassing at times. It makes me feel super vulnerable and weak at times, but I need to realize that weakness is actually my strength, because there's so many. I don't want to be that miserable, grumpy man, get off my lawn. I don't want to be that person. And so if I have to open up and cry on your podcast or cry on my podcast and share my story so I could become a stronger person, then so be it. And if I can help somebody at the same time, my podcast is all about combating veteran suicide. One story, one conversation at a time. And truthfully, at the podcast, it doesn't matter if you're a veteran or not. Your mental health matters and you're not alone. We all have our struggles. And we can all relate. Just because you weren't in the military doesn't mean I can't relate to you. And one huge thing that I've been sick and tired of hearing about in the mental health field is that, oh, this organization's for veterans, or not veterans, or whatever it is. So you're telling me I can go and get healed, but I'll only be able to be around veterans for the rest of my life to be fully functional. My wife's not a veteran. My kids aren't veterans. Fuck that. And like, how are you going to tell somebody that's struggling with their mental health that could potentially go in the parking lot and end it right now that, oh, I'm sorry, I can't help you because you don't meet this one criteria? Dude, everybody's human. Everybody has a story and everybody has struggles. I get that some organizations have to have their niche. Completely understand that. But when it comes to mental health, we all matter.
Yes, I 100% agree with that. And, you know, it's a great saying because it holds so much value that everybody's dealing with a struggle that you cannot see. And so it pays to be kind.
Didn't Robin Williams say that? One of the best comedians of all time. And look what he did. Because he couldn't open up. He didn't feel safe enough, or whatever his story is, whatever his justification for doing what he did. But judging the book by its cover, that man had a great life. He was funny. He was happy until the doors closed and he had to be alone.
I had an older veteran male call me the other day, and he's like, I need some help today. And it kind of took me aback because he's very successful, has a beautiful family, very wealthy, lives in a gorgeous environment. And he said, I still feel less than. And he goes, I know it stems from childhood. And I was like, wow. This very influential, prominent individual with everything, his dreams come true, still feels less than from wounds that he was never educated enough or vulnerable enough or anything enough, right? So he's like, I don't feel enough. But you absolutely are enough, just how you are showing up in the world today. We're all facing this world with different lenses. We all create our own reality based on our experiences. Like, I have brothers and I have one sister raised in the same house, and we all came out different from our experiences, like ACEs, adverse childhood experiences. We went through the same things, but everyone came out reacting to that differently. Some came out with drug and alcohol problems. Some came out with super hyper independence, or anti-dependent. Like, I am an individual, and now I hide away. I'm alone, and I can function on life on my own. People respond differently to things, or people will show up living life in a fantasy, or what have you. That to break that within an individual is truly up to them.
It's wild that we grew up in the same household, but we each experienced our parents at different stages of their life. So we never got the same parent. And that's what leads us to all be so different, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because where I am, so I have two older kids from my wife's previous marriage, and then we have two kids together, and our younger two girls, well, just talking about them, right? They get a different version of me, right? Because one was pretty much my only child for a couple of years, and so she got the firstborn on my side of the family and all of that. And then we added a second child, which is a great blessing. But one thing I learned about having more than one kid is how easy it truly was just to have one kid, right? Then now you have two individuals to keep alive and that want your attention, and then I'm a different man than I was when I had my firstborn, right? And I'm going to continue to be a different man, and all I can do is focus on remembering who I want to be and the type of man and father that I want to have. Like, I started off talking about how great my dad is, and he really is. I love him, and I credit him to a lot, and that's why I opened up the podcast, The First Responders. Not only do I feel like that they're constantly deployed and they're in the streets that they have to live in, right? But my dad's a retired police officer, and I feel like I want to – you're about to get me. I owe it to him. I want to show him, like, dude, I love you and I appreciate you. However, growing up, I felt abandoned because my dad worked his shifts always lined up with the time that I was awake and I was home. And so, like, I had a dad, but he wasn't always able to be around. And that was a struggle. And I hate talking like that because I don't feel like my father abandoned me. I know he was out busting his ass, like, to provide for us and our family. But if you, like, read the psychology reports on, like, what it feels like to be abandoned by your father, I could check all the boxes. And it's a struggle because, like, one, I don't want my parents to think I feel bad about them or I'm mad at them for that. But two, it's like, man, fuck, I need to cope for this before I lose them for good and I don't get to
forgive them,
have the relationship that I want with them, you know?
Yeah.
So,
That's the truth right there. That is the big, thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing that. And I know you're not alone in that. I have a brother similarly who feels the same way about my father. And I felt some kind of way like that towards my mother. They both worked a lot to raise 7 children. And they did all of that for us. And now as an adult, I'm learning what they actually went through. I heard a story this morning from my uncle and my dad who are visiting from Washington. And I got to hear a little bit about my grandpa's journey that I didn't know. And hear how that their father's experience imprinted on them. And I asked them how they got to the success that they are today. And that was beautiful to hear. And they didn't have any negative will towards that at all. And that just kind of made me sit back and be like, I don't have negative will towards my parents. They have definitely molded me into the woman that I am. They didn't stand for my shit. They called me out on it, but they raised me with values and morals, and the work ethic that I have today, I definitely got from them. But my response to the world is my own shit. I have to take responsibility for that today. It is not their fault how I respond to things today. I can't blame them for that. I can thank them and with full gratitude and honor say thank you, Mom and Dad, for keeping me alive, instilling me with everything that has allowed me to achieve my success thus far, and for always being there. Even when I thought they weren't, they were always 100% there. And if we go back to the family of origins model, they ask you specifically, so one of 8 children here, what line were you? I'm number 6. That matters because like you said, my first child is treated differently than my second child. And then they're in, competition with the one before them. And then one shows up and they all want to try to like please the parent, or they want to show up in a certain way. And, one's going to be the all-star, one's going to be the clown. Everyone wants attention, so they're going to show up differently in different roles. And that all becomes a part of us, right? So the IFS model, internal family systems, is all about the version of us that's showing up in different sessions throughout our life, in different relationships. Like I might show up as a stoic individual over here. I might show up as a clown over here. I might be the vulnerable one over here. I might be the crazy mess rageaholic over here. Those are all parts of us that we must learn how to love, because those parts come up for survival purposes. So when I came out of the military, my rage chick was online. I was full on She-Hulk for a long time, but she was trying to keep me safe. And until I knew how to address her and let her know that I am safe, that my authentic and higher self can come back into the spotlight and be in charge, and let her take a back seat here. All of the IFS model is we have the firefighters, the managers, and we have to give them a seat at the table to have a conversation, and know that where they came from doesn't really matter. Just know that they're here, and they're here for our safety, and that it stems from the family of origin model. It's nobody's fault. It is psychology. It is how your body, your amygdala, it's how you preserve thyself. And that's what everybody has within them. So I heard this a long time ago, and I love it. We don't meet people, we meet their traumas. So let that sink in, and know that when somebody comes at you in a certain way, you're like, you're obviously dealing with something right now. I know this isn't your whole self coming out, and you probably don't choose to be this way. So I'm gonna choose to forgive you. I'm gonna walk away because I have boundaries now, and not allow this to inflict pain on me, because that's your pain. I'm sorry you're dealing with that. And, or drop a bomb on them, a truth bomb or some love or what have you. But know that that's what's up. That's what's going on. That's a lot. That's a lot.
It goes back to saying, like, not what's wrong with you, but what happened to you.
Exactly.
And it's wild how the ranking of how you were born plays into who you are, right? The firstborn, the middle, or the last child, right? We all have different roles that we'll sink into because we're all chasing something. And one great thing that has helped me with like forgiveness and all that, besides becoming a parent and recognizing, oh shit, nobody knows what they're doing, we're just all trying to figure it out, is just recognizing that everybody went through something that made them who they are, right? And this is their coping mechanism on how to survive and how to make it through. And it's up to them to put up the work. And if they don't want to do that, yeah, absolutely, you got to walk away and set your boundaries and stay strong. But a lot of times we have to make sure our ego and pride are out of the way, because the ego and pride is going to want to make you She-Hulk on her or him, whoever came at you a type of way that you didn't like. Your ego is what's going to interact first, because you're going to get triggered. So if you're not working on your triggers, how can you expect someone to come at you in the way that you need them to when you're not showing up for yourself in the way you need them to? I'm talking a lot to myself as I'm looking at you, though.
Yeah, no, I project a lot on this show. It's helpful. I on your show, I can see that you're processing through it, and you're allowing other people to do the same. And that's what we do here. We're trying to open the conversation there to allow people to start conversating about what's coming up for them. I just got to a place where I didn't want to see that look on people's faces anymore. How my reaction was whatever I inflicted on them. And that hurt me more than the way that I was hurting myself, was seeing that how I could hurt other people. Right. And it still happens, man. And I was like, when am I going to stop doing that?
Never.
And never. But you can change, you realize it swifter.
Right. But everybody around you is not going to be the same level of healed as you are, right? So you're always going to offend somebody. We're not for everybody. Like I was saying earlier about like almost wanting to avoid not seeing combat, right? I have to talk about that, because the people that I'm avoiding talking about it, or by avoiding talking about it, I'm missing out on people that need to hear what I'm saying and helping people. Plus, I'm keeping that trauma down on myself. I'm holding myself down, causing myself to feel less than when I'm not. Like,
say that again.
I don't even remember what I said.
Because I'm not, right? Yeah. You're not less than.
I'm not less than. I'm more than, and I'm recognizing that, right? Like, I like to say Joe Rogan who, right? Because it's going to be the JMach Podcast. It's going to be the family talk, the family name. The name in the house, it's going to be JMach Podcast. Joe Rogan, you're great. You paved the way for us, but sorry, bud. I'm going to be there. I'm on my way.
Well, platforms like his and the guests that he has on is because he has the #1 podcast in the world. More people are hearing about how to process this, and that it's okay. And the thought leaders he has on, the professionals, the people, the insight that people are gleaning from it. I mean, there's a lot to having a platform like that. He has a lot of responsibility, and I'm glad he's sharing with that. And if you're following that trajectory, man, you are going to help many, many lives.
Yeah, I love what Joe Rogan does, and honestly, I learned about the carnivore diet on there, and dude, I did the carnivore diet for a month, and my mental health change was impressive, right? I think I was listening to yours and Veronica's podcast on the way here, and one of you two were talking about eating the processed food and how it truly affects your mental health, and I never even realized that. You know, I think everything that's made is going to be good for us, and it's not going to hurt us, right? But that's not true at all. And then actually, Joe Rogan is where I think he's probably the first one I heard talk about psychedelics and the mental health space before anybody else. So he is doing great things with his podcast, and I'm doing just as great, just at a smaller level for now.
Did you watch it? The one he's had Paul Stamets on there a few times. You know who that is, right?
Yeah.
He's the leading mycologist. Yeah, I love him. I buy his products. I take his Stamets 7 every day. And he's from the Northwest, and when he talks about, saving the bees and saving the world, I mean, there's a lot to that. And then another guest, one of the Navy SEAL that we had on here, we talk about the neural network of the Earth, which is the mycorrhizae. That is the neural network of the Earth. It is mushrooms, and we're talking about evolution and expanding. And what we put in our body, we become what we eat, what we consume, whether it be watching a TV show, watching a podcast, what we listen to, what we read, who we listen to, the rooms we walk in, the people we surround ourselves with, all the content that we're streaming into us daily becomes us, right? Sure. We're influenced by everything. But the #1 proponent of who we are and how we react to the world stems from the bugs that we create in our gut by the choice we make to what we put in our mouth. And we have to be really cognizant of that, where our food comes from. We can't escape all the pesticides and all of the bugs that are in the air and what have you. But we can be aware. We can make healthy choices every day. And we all know that processed foods lead to a lot of problems. And if you eat whole, healthy foods and cut all that stuff out, you're gonna get rid of a lot. Like 90% of your problems are gonna go away just by changing your gut microbiome. And that takes like 2 to 3 days. You can change all the bugs, maybe a week. But I did some epigenetics in college, and there's 2 to 5 pounds of bugs in your gut that make up who you are, and you can flush that out and recharge, change your diet up, and just do it for a week. The leading neuroscientist, the brain doctor, Dr. Amen, right? He talks about this stuff too. And those are the people, the thought leaders that I want to listen to, the science, the backed evidence. I'm not just going to take what I hear off some random person's podcast. Right. I'm going to follow the science. I'm going to try it for myself, and see what comes up for me, see what changes in me. Do my eye colors changes? What were you saying? You started doing something and colors turned on in the world.
I started microdosing.
You started microdosing. Okay, we're talking about Paul Stamets. Now you're microdosing. So that is your chosen form of medicinal way out of your trauma relief.
It is the exit that I'm on right now that is working the best for me. On this patrol called life, right? From the Kevlar therapist. We're all on it together, but we're at different avenues. And I've done talk therapy, I've done Western medicine for years. And I think it helped me survive, but it hurt me more than it's helped me, right? It just kept things compacted. I wasn't this outgoing person. If you would have asked me about, I guess it's got to be more than 5 years now because I've had my own podcast. But even 5 years ago, if I would be on someone else's podcast, I'd be like, you're out of your mind, right? When I started the podcast, I wasn't even doing video because I didn't want to be seen. I just wanted to be heard, and I didn't even want to be heard. I hate listening back to my podcast because I hate hearing my voice. But yeah, so eventually I've been so tired of feeling this way and like not knowing what's wrong with me or what happened to me or XYZ. I needed a change. And so I quit my Western medicine and I started to microdose. And the first time I took it, it's like that, the depressed cloud, I would say, that dark cloud, the gloomy cloud that just lingers over me, like disappeared. So when I went outside, the colors colored again. Like the sky was blue, the grass was green, the sand was brown. It was just a brighter, and it's like bright. Before I could go outside without sunglasses on, and now I absolutely have to have sunglasses on because it's just so bright again. And I definitely feel when I started to take the microdosing, I'd get these brain zaps, and I described that as the neural pathways that were in my brain that were clogged up from the Western medicine were getting unclogged by plant medicine, and it has changed my eyes, changed my life. There's also a lot of variables I've added to it, right? I don't know if you do, but I started to journal almost daily, and I went to a veteran mental health clinic, I guess, at ASU, and there's 3 gentlemen up there talking, and one of them said one of the key things he does is he just says he's grateful to be alive. So I started to journal that. Like, I start my journal the same way every day now, is that I'm grateful to be alive. I'm grateful for myself. I'm grateful for my wife. I'm grateful for my kids. And along with that, the microdosing, cleaning up my diet, daily push-ups again, my mentality, my state of mind is changing, and I'm so grateful for it because I'm able to be up here talking to you, of crying, just being vulnerable and sharing. I'm
really proud of you. I don't even know you, man, and I'm so proud of you. What an amazing journey. Thank you. You're impacting so many lives by doing what you're doing, by showing up for yourself, and by implementing new holistic modalities and saying, okay, thank you, allopathic medicine didn't serve me. I'm on this way here. You said all the things that I practice daily. I journal. I have this is my work journal, but I have like a stack this high right now at home, and I'm cultivating it into a book. I'd like to. I'm working on that. But every day I journal, and I started doing that when I was young, but I really got into it in 2013 on my treatment journey. And it starts with gratitude. Every single entry starts with gratitude. 5 to 10, what have you. The first 2 are the same every day. And then I find something new to be grateful for every day. It could be what happened yesterday. It could be something I just newly thought of. But before my feet hit the ground, I even say that. Before I even get to my journal, I'm grateful I woke up today. So first and foremost, memento mori. We could leave life right now. That's a Stoic philosophy, right? So I have to be grateful for today. What do I get to be privy to today? What's to come today? I get to choose how I show up for that. And I get to show up for so many amazing things today I'm so grateful for. And when I get to lay my head down at night, I might go to bed with a lot of anxiety or a lot of shoulda, coulda, wouldas. But I'm like, you know what? I got out of bed today. Where for many years, I couldn't do that. And I would push and push and push. And I would be angry, angry, angry. And I've said it on the show before, gratitude interrupts anger. So the more and more we can be grateful for things, the more and more we can get out of that and see life in color again. I think that's what Robin Williams maybe have been dealing with. He couldn't see the color anymore. He was angry at life that was happening to him. And we get overwhelmed. We put a lot of things in ourselves. We're taking in so many terabytes of data every day now. It's hard to stop, put all the devices away, even writing, reading, whatever. Just stop and breathe. Meditation. Come back to the root of the self. That's Rumi. And that's what I keep trying to come back to. I'm like, why do I keep showing up like this? I'm forgetting who I am. I'm forgetting where I came from. I'm forgetting my rituals. Putting those systems in place, keeping that routine. My uncle asked me this morning, what keeps you healthy? And I said, routine. That is key.
Everything you wanted to get away from in the military is everything we need in our civilian life.
But I get to tell me what to do, and there's nobody else telling me what to do. I'm showing up for me and telling me what's best for me. Okay, that didn't work. Well, you have to take a nightly inventory. What did not work today? How can I do it different tomorrow? And this medication wasn't working for you, so you started psilocybin, and that started opening up your world. So now you have this open new view of the world. What are you doing with it? Are you going to delve deeper into that? Are you going to continue to process what's coming up for you? Do you just share it every week on your show? I don't know if that's what you're doing right now.
This is just the start, and my journey is going to keep going for the rest of my life, but it's all about knowing oneself and seeking self-improvement. And so I just want to get better. The best part about podcasting is I could take nuggets away from everybody, good or bad. Mm-hmm. You could tell me some terrible things that you're going through or you're doing, and I can implement that in my life being, oh man, I feel like I can relate here, here, and here. Let me take this out of my life and watch my life improve, or vice versa. I could do the good things that you're doing. I recently heard that it is scientifically proven that you cannot be depressed and grateful for something at the same time. And I forget who told me this nugget, but they said the best thing you can do, you can't control all your thoughts, but the best 2 thoughts that you can control is the one when you wake up, and the first one when you wake up, and the last one you think of before you go to bed. So I've been implementing being grateful. So everything I said in my journal, I'm grateful for when I wake up, and I'm grateful for those when I go to sleep. And I catch myself at night sometimes where I'm starting to spiral and go down a rabbit hole about something where I'm not mad, but then if I keep going, I could get mad, and I start getting worked up. And I just stop myself, and I start saying, I'm grateful to be alive. I'm grateful for myself. Self-love is a huge thing that I've lacked for a long time, and I am working passionately to do that.
How do you cultivate self-love for yourself?
I got to continue to show up for myself and doing things that I want when I want or how I want. Respectfully, right? Like, I'm not trying to be an asshole and tell everybody to fuck off. It's my way or the highway now, but I'm definitely starting to do that. And if you're not on board with it, then we can either meet up later or not at all.
Because the inverse is people pleasing, which leaves you left wanting.
Yeah,
and
which leaves me hurt and suffering, and I'm over that. Yeah, I try to share as much as I can on the podcast, but I like to learn more. You asked me how my men's mental health series started, and it all started because I need to start showing up for myself more. I've been doing this podcast for 5 years. I have way more knowledge, intel, everything to share. I need to start acting on it. But most importantly, I feel like we have so many opportunities out there for us, but one, we don't know about them. We don't know about all of our resources. Like, I didn't know about the Defender's Den until I seen your podcast with somebody. And then 2, you don't know who to trust or where to start. So I'm trying to, like, these organizations I've known about, I've participated in some, I've worked with some, but they're just ones that I know about. So if I can know about it, I want to share it with you so you can know about it.
That's great, man. I think that's what we should all do. Like, have you heard about this? Have you heard about this? I mean, I could probably get a little excessive and be like, because I do consume a lot of positive content and a lot of trauma recovery work. It's just a space I've been in. So that's my truth. Puts a lot of people off. But then I ask people, can you be open-minded? Can you just start somewhere and just look into this? Can you read 5 pages out of this book? Can you just listen to the short, something? You know, you just want to plant a seed. You just want them to hear a little something. And please choose to see the similarities and not the differences. Because a lot of what kept me stuck was thinking I was an individual, thinking I was so unique, so different. Nobody understood what the fuck I was going through. There is no way I'm going to change. You don't know me, son. You know, I was just like, shut up. You don't know what I've been through. And I just had that whole thing going on. I couldn't reach myself when I was like that. I had to really let down my guard. I had to have that ugly cry. I had to break down all my own barriers and say, I am sick and tired of feeling this way. I want more for me. And I don't know where that came from, but it was downloaded to me. And I was like, all right, I get to create what's next. So what's next? First thing, you got to get up and you got to try something different. And you have to be very comfortable with being uncomfortable. And that includes telling yourself that brutal, honest truth every single day.
Absolutely.
And staring yourself in the mirror.
Yeah. I got tired of shrinking myself to be around people, right? It made me an introvert, where I don't want to talk to people because like people don't get me, and I am a lot, but that's okay to be a lot. I'm a lot because you're doing a little, and I'm sorry that, but you keep saying it, like planting seeds. I love planting seeds on people. People ask me all the time, like, why do you always go back and forth with people? Because I don't believe what they're doing is right, or I think they can do something better. So let me plant the seed that they are worthy, they are capable. Let me show them the support that they've never had before. I don't want people to ever feel like I had to feel or I feel like right now, right? I don't want people to suffer this way. So if I can do anything to prevent you or anybody else while helping myself at the same damn time, I'm going to do it.
Hoorah. Yes, that's what I say. I was out there struggling for so long and building the Defender's Den, bringing in all of this wellness and holistic modalities. I'm like, I was stuck. Nobody came and saved my fucking life. I had to do it for myself. And if I can go out there and outreach and find other women so they don't have to struggle as long as I did, trying to navigate that all alone, thinking they're all alone, let us find them sooner so they can get on their recovery journey faster, so they can find their own way. But like, I didn't have to stay stuck there. You know, there were forces and people that tried to intervene, but I was so in my head, I could not let anyone help me because I thought I was completely broken. And all of the other less than things that we've said here today. But until like something was like, you don't deserve this. I didn't deserve how I was treating myself. Nobody deserves to kick the shit out of themselves every single day, right, all day long, into oblivion, and then stare at the door. Where is everybody? Why hasn't anybody come to save? I hadn't spoken to a soul in like a month. Nobody knows you're in here. Nobody knows you're suffering. Nobody knows you're struggling. Nobody knows what you've gone through or that you see yourself this way. Because when I do show up in the world, well, it's a whole different person, right? And showing up as your truth and showing up to groups or what have you, that allows people to see you just a little bit and wonder how you're doing. Or maybe you just spoke up one time and you said one thing and they're like, that didn't sound right. Let me check in on her. You know, something. Just give yourself a chance.
Absolutely. I love one-on-one conversations because you're no longer trying to please everybody in the room. You're literally just being who you are and talking to me, right? And I do get that I have to break down barriers first. Everybody's not going to feel safe and comfortable to instantly start talking, but I do have that skill set that I can make people feel very comfortable and open up and share because like I'm not going to judge you. I'm just trying to learn from you. I'm trying to learn about you. And a lot of our struggles and our thought process is all channeled back into our childhood and the programming that we programmed ourselves with, right? So we got to break those thoughts, whether it's that we're not enough or I can't do this, I can't do that. Anything's possible. We can do anything. We just got to be okay with failing and learning how to get back up because the only time you truly fail is when you stay down.
Word.
That's the only time you're failing.
100%. Yeah. And once you get started, and you get that ball rolling, you start getting that momentum, and you build in that consistency and that discipline, it starts to feel pretty good. You start feeling good about yourself.
Yeah, the consistency is what builds that discipline and that self-love and self-respect and that momentum, because you're staying consistent, you're pushing. That's why I'm also doing the monthly men's mental health thing, because I'm being consistent. I'm showing my face on there. It's getting so much easier to talk on camera and record myself. I used to hate that. I mean, I still don't love it, but it's becoming more enjoyable by consistently
That's it right
doing
there. Finding enjoyment in life again, right? So there are a lot of things that are so ineffable when you're going through a struggle. Like, you can't describe it to people, and that's why you feel different. But then you get that anhedonia, that loss of pleasure. Well, let's get back to being, in this hedonic stage. Like, life is pleasurable again. I can see color again. That comes from you enjoying your decisions. Like, man, I did something cool yesterday. Let me give myself credit for that. Instead of beating the shit out of myself because I only did one cool thing. It's like, but you haven't done anything cool in a long time, but you finally did something cool. Give yourself some credit for that. Again, projecting, because I don't give myself enough gifts.
Yeah, we also have to, I don't talk positive to myself. I haven't in the past. I have changed that recently, where I'm more positive to myself, more loving to myself, right? Because if I'm not going to give that to me, who is? Because I was the one that would talk shit about me, because if you say it, it's not going to hurt me.
That's some Eminem going on right there.
Yeah, but once what you say lines up with how I feel, then I'm destroyed. I'm hurt to the core. And I'll do everything to try to show you that I'm not, or my triggers will come out.
And that's being codependent. I can't allow that to continue in my life. It does not serve me. It breaks me. It breaks my heart every single day. Somebody else should not have to fulfill another person. You have to be able to, I need to be able to love myself and show up and know that I am enough, all on my own. And you can compliment me, but your love for me is not what's going to get me to my job on time, to take care of my children, to take care of my home, to help me succeed. That all comes from me, my internal guide, my internal knowing, my goals, how I achieve my goals, how I show up for me every day, my discipline, how I'm tracking my progress through journaling. Focusing on that, focusing on me and my success is ultimately what's going to get me to that achievable place. I can't take people with me who aren't on board with my vision for my life. If you're not in alignment with me, and that's okay. That is okay. Right? I just can't let go of everything that I am to make somebody else happy, because
you can't little yourself.
They don't want you to do that anyway.
Yeah.
It's fake as hell.
Yeah, I also think we got to get in control of our addictions, and love is an addiction, right? People pleasing is an addiction. Eating's an addiction. Sleeping's an addiction. It doesn't have to be drugs, but drugs is a huge part of it. And another great thing I heard, right, is like, if somebody is struggling with addiction, congratulate them and tell them, like, congratulations, you found something that helped you cope and survive, but now it's no longer helping you, it's hurting you. So let's move forward and find ways out of this addiction, whether it be relationship, whether it be drugs, food, whatever the case may be. We got to refine our addictions. Refine your addiction to be happy, to loving yourself, to showing up for yourself.
Yes, you don't have to bury the past. You can let go with love, honor it. Thank you for serving me, just like the parts of ourselves that were there that were trying to help us survive. Now we get to revive and thrive and become ambassadors, that 12th step, and pull another person back up with you. Like what we're doing on the show, we're trying to bring awareness to people. Like, come with me. Let me show you what I did. You don't have to do everything I do to get to where you need to be, but take what you need, leave the rest, try something new.
I think that you're right. However, I feel like we need to stop saying, come with me, and just say, watch me go, and you'll do your own thing. Either you come or you don't. I'm going with or without you.
I love that.
Because I'm right there with you. I want to help everybody, but that just holds me back, because I'm not doing what I'm capable of. And I'm capable of so much more that I'm already doing. But I feel exhausted and burnt out because I've been keeping myself down or not doing certain things.
That's the other thing. It's so exhausting to play all those parts. It's so much easier just to show up with your whole authentic, true self. It's easier to be who you are, but that is hard. It's hard to do that every day because it takes conscious intention. It takes ritual.
Takes a good circle.
But
You
so
have
does
to-
addiction. That takes it's a ritual. It's a habit that you can break, but you must replace it with something new.
Yeah.
Something that can develop and cultivate into something that's strong and tangible, and it's not always fleeting, and you're not chasing it. It doesn't make you feel destructive. It makes you feel like you can build your own reality, your own future that has wonder and hope to it and exceed your own limitations. And that's what it is. These are limiting beliefs that were indoctrinated into us.
Yeah.
We can change our own script.
And journaling's a huge help with that, right? Because
You hear your own voice that way.
true, you're getting everything out of your head onto paper, so it's not just sitting up there spewing, but you can track your growth, your setbacks, and your come-ups. And you can even track it years later and write your own book.
That's what I'm doing. Yeah, I like how you played that in there. So you have the show. You're doing it all the time. Right now, you're not recording.
I have pre-recorded episodes because it's a little hot in Arizona, so I didn't want to record during summer. However, my episodes come out on the 1st and 15th, just like that military paycheck used to. Easy to remember that way. Yeah. And then I host a Sandbox once a month, where there's a networking event for veterans and first responders that will have not just networking, but mental health alternatives and solutions there. Resources, mental health resources there. And I wrap it all up with a live podcast so they can hear the vulnerability between two veterans just sharing their stories.
Wow. And everyone can find you. You're on Spotify.
I'm on Spotify, Apple, you name it, you can find me there.
Wow. I look forward to being on your show or to come into the
Absolutely.
Sandbox. When's that coming up?
It's the next one's tomorrow. If you can't make that one, that's totally fine. There's going to be one July 24th, I believe. It's the 4th Thursday of every month. And it's in Marley Park in Surprise, Arizona.
I'll be there tomorrow.
Awesome.
Bet on that.
I'm going to hold you to it.
I'm going to be there. Yes, Maureen, I will be there.
All right.
And this has been the most enlightening conversation. And I think what's most captivating is that it's coming from the male perspective. Like you said, there's a lot of woo-woo, or there's men see things differently, how men show up in the world. And I have a brother going through something right now, and he speaks a lot like you. He hasn't completely gone down the whole rabbit hole here, but I hope he gets there. I think he's on his way. And for him to say, "You're the only one I can talk to, sis," made me feel really good. I'm like, okay, I'm showing up my truth. He's now finally showing up in his truth. We came from the same house, and we're all, growing and healing. We went through the struggles together, and then we separated. Now we're coming back together. I think that's beautiful, man. So when you say you're taking somebody with you, it's by the light that you shine.
It's leading by example,
Yep.
right? Because he feels safe talking to you because you're talking about it. You're doing the work. So you're not necessarily taking him with you. He's coming with you.
Yeah, I mean,
You're
I
not leading
rescript
the
like
horse by the lead,
No.
right? He's doing it by his own will because you're showing the vulnerability and strength to do it. So he's feeling comfortable and safe enough to do it. And that's all we can do is to continue to plant those seeds, which hopefully I planted some for you and everybody listening or here.
Yeah.
But either way, I cleared some things up for myself. This was really beneficial to me, so I'm really grateful for being here because I don't know about you, but when I am struggling with something, I can almost feel it in my head. I can almost feel like the pressure or the chemicals or whatever you want to describe it going on in my brain, and I don't feel as clear, the clarity, right? But then I'm going to go right back to talking about not having combat experience or being deployed or anything like that, right? I feel I showed up for myself by being true and authentic and sharing that. Yeah, it's was a struggle for me. It was a struggle for me. But if I could talk about it, I don't have to hide from it. I don't have to keep up a persona that I'm not even trying to keep up to begin with, because all I want to do is be real, vulnerable, and authentic, because I hate group settings because everybody's trying to impress somebody and they're trying to be the best version of themselves for this group. Growing up, I never had like a core group of friends, but I could fit into every group. There's somebody in each group that I could fit in with because I was really good. I could just connect with people, right? But now I'm just trying to lead by myself. And if you're coming with me, I'm not going to look back. I'll look to my sides and I'll look forward, but I'm not going to look back. I wish you well. I can't wait to meet you on the other side, but we're going to get there together eventually. I may be there first. You may beat me there. But it's all about learning and growing and never giving up. I preach it to my daughters like a song that I made up, and I'm not going to sing it because it sounds terrible, right? But it's constantly telling them that they're worthy, they're enough, and that whatever you dream you can do as long as you never give up and keep moving forward. And it's okay to fail. failing's part of life. It's just an improvement. It's an opportunity on where you need to grow and continue to keep fighting.
It's just data.
Absolutely.
It's part of success. That's how we get there. Fail often, fail forward. Denzel Washington. And never stop.
Absolutely.
And you are absolutely enough. Every single one of us are enough and worthy of sharing our voice and our truth. And you matter. The best way to change the world today is to be your authentic self. Nobody can be you. Nobody knows what it's like to be you. That's okay. Share your truth. Rock and roll. Let's walk side by side and not hold each other back or lift each other up. Let's lead by example. I really love that.
Absolutely.
And I hope we have more conversations like this, or we can incite more of a conversation across the masses here, as it's growing, it's evolving. And let's get you to that Joe Rogan level. Yeah. And maybe I'll be alongside of you on that trajectory as well.
Above his level. He set the standard. Now it's
you are
time to be
limitless,
broken.
bro.
Absolutely.
We are only limited by our own limiting beliefs, and we can change those anytime we choose to. But a reminder to everybody is to be grateful today. That interrupts a lot of our systems, our programming. You can recreate your life. You can show up for yourself today. And in turn, you can help your family. You can overcome and succeed and grow and develop into the person that you choose to be, because that is a possibility, all on your own. And this is not just for the veterans. This is for families, first responders, every human in the world. We all struggle. And so let's do the one thing that we all can do that's free, is just to be kind. And next time on the Spotlight, we'll be going deeper into what that looks like if you don't. And we'll be talking about veteran suicide and how that epidemic is very well still happening, and what we're doing to combat that and showing up for each other. These conversations are definitely helpful. So don't forget to love yourself today, whatever that looks like for you. Find some gratitude and some peace and joy. And if you're in a place where you can't cultivate that for yourself right now, please don't forget that the National Veteran Suicide Hotline is available to you 24/7. Dial 988, then press option 1. Don't stop. Never give up. Just stay. And we're here for you. See you next time on the Spotlight.